Hello and welcome viewers, I am Pia and you're watching NewsX World. Let's take a look at the top headlines this hour. US President Donald Trump and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi will chair the Gaza Peace Summit on Monday in Egypt, with 20 world leaders attending, including UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, United Kingdom's Prime Minister Keir Starmer, French President Emmanuel Macron. Meanwhile, Hamas will miss the formal signing of the Gaza peace deal. A senior Hamas official has confirmed that the hostage releases will start on Monday morning. Hamas has warned that it will repel any renewed aggression. Meanwhile, over 500,000 Palestinians have returned to Gaza City since the ceasefire has been in effect. Iran has rejected US President Donald Trump's suggestion that it may normalize ties with Israel, calling it wishful thinking. Trump had earlier hinted at Iran possibly joining the Abraham Accords. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has urged US President Donald Trump to broker peace in Ukraine, praising his Middle East ceasefire pact. Zelensky has called on Trump to pressurize Russia into negotiations after a recent Russian attack knocked out power across the country. China has accused the United States of double standards after Washington threatened new tariffs. Beijing's Commerce Ministry has urged the United States to correct what it has called erroneous practices, defending its decision to impose special port fees on US-linked vessels as a necessary countermeasure. Taliban forces have launched armed reprisals against Pakistani troops along Afghanistan's eastern border after Islamabad allegedly conducted airstrikes on Afghan soil. Pakistani officials have confirmed that Pakistan fired light and then heavy artillery at 4 points along the border and shot down 3 Afghan quadcopters. The Trump administration has directed the use of $8 billion in unused research funds to pay troops during the federal shutdown. Trump has ordered U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to ensure that military personnel receive salaries on the 15th of October amid the ongoing U.S. government shutdown. Torrential rains in Mexico have killed at least 41 people and have caused widespread destruction. Flooding, landslides and collapsed roads have impacted 31 states. Hidalgo and Puebla suffered the worst, with thousands affected. The Mexican military has deployed its troops, boats and helicopters to assist rescue efforts and distribute aid in isolated communities. Well, viewers, those are the headlines in our top focus. Israel and Hamas are preparing for a major hostage prisoner exchange as US President Donald Trump and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi are set to co-chair a Gaza Peace Summit tomorrow. The high-level meeting will be held in Egypt's Red Sea resort city of Sharm el-Sheikh, bringing together leaders from more than 20 countries. Now, according to Egypt's presidency, the summit aims to end the war in Gaza, restore stability across the Middle East, and pave the way for a new era of regional peace and security. Now, among those confirmed to attend are UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, Italy's Giorgia Meloni, Spain's Pedro Sanchez, and French President Emmanuel Macron. Meanwhile, a senior Hamas official has stated that the group will not take part in the formal signing of the Gaza peace deal. Political Bureau member Hossam Badran has stated that Hamas will not be involved in the official ceremony, emphasizing that the group had acted mainly through Qatari and Egyptian mediators during the ceasefire talks. With us on the broadcast is Major General Dr. Rajan Kochhar, Senior Strategic and Defense Expert, speaking to us from New Delhi. Good morning, sir, and thank you for joining us on NewsX World. Landmark moment we're witnessing. Trump, of course, is going to be in Jerusalem very, very soon. He's slated to address the Knesset also, and then he'll be heading to Egypt to chair this very crucial summit. The big names, especially European leaders, will be also joining in. Hamas will not be directly involved, but we do know Egypt and Qatar, who've played a very crucial part in the negotiations, will also be there on the table. In light of what we've seen and what is expected, what major challenges do you foresee in the upcoming rounds of negotiations?
Good morning, Pierre. Thank you for inviting me to this very important discussion. Major sticking points where, see, Hamas has not been included into the peace process for the subsequent phases like phase one, phase two. Uh, that was, I think, the most challenging to bring Hamas on board with regard to disarmament of Hamas because Hamas considers itself as the representatives of the people of Palestine because Palestinian Authority is not accepted by the Palestinians as their spokesperson or their spoke leaders. Hamas has taken a leadership role in this entire conflict, if you would say, for about 2 years. And before that, also, Hamas was ruling Gaza for a number of years. So I think that was the major sticking point that Hamas will not have any stake further in Gaza. And I still feel it will still remain a sticking point because disarmament cannot happen one way.
Yes.
On one hand, you are saying that Hamas is going to be disarmed and all the weapons have to be handed over. On the other, you are not removing the Israel Defense Forces from Gaza. You are only moving them back to a predetermined line. So uh, which implies that the presence of IDF in Gaza is going to be there at all times, but presence of Hamas will not be there uh, as soon as this peace process gets underway. So that is one big challenge. I still actually foresee that as a challenge. Second is uh, when you talk about a peace board, a, a board for peace, when you're talking about. Uh, it would be no great clarity so far has come out of it. Maybe this meeting of 20 leaders and the UN Secretary General will bring some clarity. This Board of Peace supposedly is going to be led by the President of the United States, which is not a normal kind of a thing because President of the United States he doesn't get into these board of peace unless he has a vested interest in Gaza. So that would be also because we are looking at reconstruction of Gaza. Uh, who is going to dictate what kind of reconstruction will take place and who will carry it out? So if you remember, I will take you back to some time back when President Trump made a statement that he wants to convert Gaza into a Rivera. So if that is his intention and his intention could not be achieved through force, he is now trying to achieve it through peace. So that would be one important area. Next area is there has been no involvement of the United Nations. So I'm glad that Secretary General of United Nations is coming now because there is a requirement of an international stabilizing force to be placed here. So who will constitute which countries are going to contribute the troops? Are they going to be from Egypt, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, or even Pakistan? Because there was a talk in the media, sometime back that Pakistan may also get involved. So, will that be acceptable to Israel or things to that effect? Or since the Secretary General is being invited now, do we see a further role of the UN? Because so far in the peace plan, there has been no role of the UN. Next important aspect, I think, if this peace plan has to succeed, it has to have a concept from womb to tomb. That is, from the starting point to the end point. Do we see an end point here? Is there any talk in the peace plan of an election to be held and the reins of power to be handed over to the Palestinians at some stage of the peace plan? No. Do we hear of a two-state being talked about like the Abraham Accord in Trump's last tenure, and there was some loose statements coming from Trump administration that the Abraham Accord may be revived, but it does not find a mention in this peace plan. This would also be one area which you will actually have to look into. The next area is that uh, humanitarian aid, because I think that is the key to this peace plan now. As you mentioned in your opening narrative, that 5 lakh Palestinians have actually returned. Uh, as we go along, more will come. So all those people who have been displaced now, do we see a process and a procedure and a methodology to be uh, formulated for the humanitarian aid? Because
Yes.
you see, reconstruction will take almost 10 years, because the way, 85%, I am given to understand that 85% of the buildings have been destroyed in Gaza. So in case you are thinking of a reconstruction, and this will include hospitals, schools, sewage system, electricity system, power system, everything it will include. So I visualize it's going to take 8 to 10 years. So in that 8 to 10 years, we would require more clarity that who is going to be in charge here. Who is going to call the shots? Is it going to be Israel? Is it going to be Palestinian? Or is it going to be the Americans? Or this board of peace, or whatever we call it? And Tony Blair, another controversial guy, he has been put as part in the board of peace. So these are very important areas which I've highlighted. I've just sum it up. Disarmament is going to be one issue. Humanitarian aid is going to be another issue. Reconstruction, who will actually do it, and the international stabilizing force, who will constitute the force. So all these nitty gritties have to be still discussed, and I think that is why this meeting of these 20 countries, you have been called to take the views of the people. I am sure something concrete will emerge after this meeting, Pia.
All right, so I request you to stay on with us as we're tracking some other crucial updates. In the meantime, a top Hamas official has stated that the release of hostages under this peace deal will commence tomorrow morning, but has also issued a warning that the group will repel aggression if war with Israel resumes. The political bureau member Hossam Badran has told that Hamas hopes to avoid a return to war, but will use all its capabilities if forced into battle. He's also rejected US President Donald Trump's proposal for Hamas members to leave Gaza, branding it as absurd nonsense. Meanwhile, Gaza's Civil Defense Agency has stated that more than 500,000 people have returned to Gaza City since the ceasefire has taken into effect. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has visited a medical facility near Tel Aviv, preparing to receive hostages expected to be freed in the exchange. Coming back to you, Major General Kocher, you've spoken about, procedure for reconstruction. It's a long-term, project spanning 8 to 10 years. In this context, what lessons can be learned from the past in doing so?
Very interesting. First and foremost, the lessons, in case you want to genuinely make this area, peaceful, because right now we are not talking about the West Bank at all. So this problem, we are only shifting the problem. We are not solving the problem. When you talk about reconstruction, because your question is specific to reconstruction, when you talk about reconstruction, it is extremely important that the stakeholders are also made a part of the process. Because in case you will not involve Palestinians into the reconstruction process, then I think the intention will be very, very clear that possibly at a later stage, Palestinians may be forced to leave this place. And this place would come under occupation of Israel. You see, the kind of statements I hear from Israel in the last 1 year, I'm coming to a very sad conclusion that in the long term, I don't think Israel wants Palestinians here. Because if you see the intention of the Israelis in the West Bank also recently, 22 Jewish settlements have been placed there. And uh, and this has happened after 10 years. So Israel is now finding opportunities to cleanse uh, uh, West Bank also. So, if that is the case, then the intention of the person who has entered into a peace accord, and if Netanyahu wants genuine peace, comes under a question. So, reconstruction is good, but I would like to see that who will be the part of the reconstruction process. The stakeholders have to be included because after all, it is their home. You are reconstructing. You can't exclude them from this process. So I think all these factors will be very important because moment if we come to know that the Palestinians are not going to be involved in the decision making process, because see, you can be part of a process, but you have to be part of a decision making process in the power of authority in your peace board, in your board of peace, who's going to supervise this reconstruction. And that is why when I find the president of the United States heading this board of peace, I have my own misconceptions of this entire reconstruction process.
All right, so with that, I would like to thank you for taking out time sharing your perspective with us on NewsX World. With that, viewers, we're shifting focus away from the Middle East towards the war in Europe. The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has urged US President Donald Trump to broker peace in Ukraine as in the Middle East. He said so during a phone call and has emphasized that if Trump could stop one war, others can be stopped as well. The call has come after Russia launched a large-scale attack on Ukraine's energy grid, knocking out power to parts of the capital Kiev and 9 other Ukrainian regions. Meanwhile, Russian airstrikes on the church in Konstantinivka region of Ukraine has left 2 people injured. I beg your pardon, 4 people injured and 2 dead as well. With us on the broadcast is Major General A.K. Sivaj, defense expert, joining us from New Delhi. Thank you so much, sir, for taking our time and speaking to us on NewsX World. We do know that the Trump administration has been quite busy, especially considering the landmark peace deal that has finally been reached in the Middle East. But once again, Zelensky emphasizing that the Trump administration should not really forget that the war between Ukraine and Russia is continuing. In fact, after the Alaska summit, what we've seen is nothing short of an escalation that is taking place.
Very, very correctly said, Priya. The point is that after the Alaska summit, the intensity of the war has increased. And what has happened in either side, both sides are now targeting the energy sector, the supply chain, the command and control system, and also targeting their residential areas. The drones which are being used on the either sides has made a tremendous impact. Now, if you see the Russian side, what they are doing is that they are now targeting Kiev, Kharkiv, Odisha, Zaporizhia, which are the hub center or the power center, and the energy sector of the Ukraine, and also the supply chain coming from Poland. And that also has been now completely, you can say, made non-operational. So there is no denying the fact that Russia has now not concentrating on the territorial gain, which they have already taken about 25% of the Ukraine territory, including the one which they have taken in 2014. At the same time, the Ukraine is also responding because Ukraine is getting a lot of weapon system from NATO, and America is also providing them through the NATO only. So the Ukraine is also able to now hit the central part of Russia, and especially you'll find that their energy sector, as far as Russia is concerned, is being also targeted, and the pinch is also felt by the Russians, and you find it their supply chain is also been adversely affected. So instead of this war coming to end, it looks like that the escalation has taken place, and both sides had made their stance very hard. And as far as Putin is concerned, he has his own red lines, and he's not ready to change that. And that's where the problem is coming. He says that until you give me in writing, the Ukraine will not join NATO, and the area which they have already captured by the Russia will not be given back. And a third thing is that what it is trying to convey is that as far as Russia is concerned, it will dictate the further terms of condition. So all these things are sticking point. Donald Trump thought that he has a personal chemistry with Putin. He will able to convince him, and there will be some sort of a ceasefire which will take place, maybe initially temporary, and then build up on that. That hasn't happened. In fact, the intensity of the war has increased many-fold, and that's how the Zelensky is trying to convey that the war which is taken place in the Middle East between the Israel and Hamas, with the Donald Trump 20-point plan, possibly that may come to end. But what will happen to the Israel war if it comes to end? What happened to Russia Ukraine war, which is escalating rather than getting down? So there is a casualty on either side, but Ukraine is slightly in the back foot, no denying the fact, because the almost 70% of infrastructure of the eastern Ukraine has been completely destroyed.
Indeed, sir, requesting you to stay on with us. We're tracking some other very crucial developments, this time from South Asia. Now, according to Afghan officials, 15 Pakistani soldiers have been killed in retaliatory operations in the Helmand province by the Taliban. Earlier, 2 explosions were heard in Kabul and another in the southeastern part of the country. Now, the Taliban-run Defense Ministry has blamed the attacks on Pakistan, accusing its neighbor of violating its sovereignty. The Taliban Defense Ministry spokesperson Inayat Khawrazm has stated that the successful operations had ended at midnight, and the spokesperson also emphasized that if Pakistan violated Afghanistan's territory again, it will respond firmly. Officials have also stated that Afghan forces have captured 3 Pakistani military outposts during the operation. Meanwhile, a Pakistani official has stated that the Taliban forces have started using weapons, and the official has emphasized that Pakistan fired light and then heavy artillery at 4 points along the border. He's added that the Pakistani forces have shot down 3 Afghan quadcopters suspected of carrying explosives. Meanwhile, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has called on Afghanistan and Pakistan to exercise restraint amid the ongoing clashes. Pakistan has called on Kabul to stop harboring the terrorist group Tehreek-e-Taliban, and earlier the TTP has claimed responsibility for deadly attacks in several districts in northwestern Pakistan that have killed 20 security personnel and 3 civilians over the last couple of days. Still with us on the broadcast is Major General A.K. Sewach, a strategic and defense expert. Serious escalation is what we're witnessing between the Taliban administration in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Afghanistan has in fact accused Pakistan of violating its sovereignty with the recent strikes we've seen. We do know that there is a contention on the Durand line, but what are the geopolitical implications of these strikes and the response that we've just witnessed?
Priya, one thing is very clear that, on 15th August 2021, when the Taliban has taken over Afghanistan, there were very happy moments in Pakistan. They thought that they will get a strategic depth. But we knew it that there are fault lines between Afghanistan and Pakistan, and this peace will not prevail for long. And exactly same thing happened. As far as Afghanistan is concerned, they don't recognize Durand line. The Pashtun on the either side want to join Afghanistan, and they want to bring a Sharia law. Now, the situation as far as the border is concerned between Afghanistan and Pakistan is become very volatile. And Pakistan is always accusing Afghanistan that they are giving shelter to TTP. There are bases of TTP inside Afghanistan. Whereas Afghanistan hit back to Pakistan says that Pakistan is also giving shelter to certain terrorist groups which are operating in Afghanistan. They have bases in Pakistan, and they are absolutely unhappy. About 25 to 30 lakhs the refugees which have been pushed from Pakistan to Afghanistan. Having said so, Pakistan is of recently become quite bold and start doing air violation, and now then a strike in Kabul also, where they were targeting the TTP leader, basically Nur Ali Masood, and there were reports possibly he has not been touched, but his son possibly may have died in this blast. But Afghanistan has now responded and responded with lot of strength. Now, what is happening on the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan? Afghanistan forces are now using artillery, mortar, and drones, and they are firing on their frontier corps, which is the one which is guarding this border between Afghanistan and Taliban. Their supply chain has been broken. Their post has been captured by the Afghanistani, defense forces. In fact, 4 posts were earlier also captured, which were with them. Now, with this recent attack, which they are saying that this is in violation, basically, of what Pakistan had done it, we will now strongly respond. They have already captured 3 of their posts, and the firing on the either side is becoming very, very heavy. Pakistan is also trying to respond back, but it seemingly looks to be that what is happening is instead of Pakistan becoming strong, it is Afghanistan. Pakistan seemingly looks to be on back foot. Afghanistan is now becoming very bold, and they are striking very hard, and Pakistan is on a back foot.
Indeed, and speaking of, South Asia at large and the geopolitics over here, we've recently seen the Afghan Foreign Minister Muttaqi in New Delhi. He's met with Dr. S. Jaishankar, India's Foreign Minister, as well. And India has interestingly decided to reopen its embassy in Kabul that it had downgraded and downsized after the US troop withdrawal in 2021. What sort of signal does this give to Pakistan and to the United States as well, which is eyeing the Bagram Air Base?
Absolutely. See, as far as India is concerned, remember that India and Afghanistan has a cultural and historical relation. Even when the Americans were there from 2001 to 2021, we have invested about $3 billion in Afghanistan. We have made a parliament there. We have made a Salma Dam, which is called a friendship dam, which provides power and also water to Kabul. In addition to that, we made hospitals, we made dams, we made roads, we made railway line, we made schools. So India was involved in Afghanistan for the reconstruction even in that time. Now, once the relationship between Afghanistan and Pakistan has now gone down south, India will certainly will make use it. Now we are trying to get a better relation between Taliban government and India. Now, Amir Khan Mattaki, who is acting foreign minister, is visiting India for 7 days. He'll be there, and you find it the relationship are now improving tremendously. We have upgraded our technical mission to full-fledged embassy. We will have a more sort of trade with them, and we will now restart those projects which were lying basically uncompleted. Now, the point which is coming is the biggest take between Afghanistan and India is Chawar Port. Remember that Pakistan is not letting us to cross over Pakistan to send material to Afghanistan, because Afghanistan is a landlocked country. What we have done, we made a Chawar port in Iran, and bypassing Pakistan, it goes to Afghanistan and then go to Central Asian state, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, and the others, and thereafter connected with North-South Transport Corridor, joining the Eastern Europe and Russia. Now, this patch is become very important. It will give you 4 to 5% of the world trade in next 2-3 years. And we are concentrating on that, and we are sending all the relief material through this. Remember, from Iran to Afghanistan, the railway line and the road have been also constructed by us. No, this is not to the liking of Pakistan. Pakistan is feeling that they thought they will get a strategic depth in Afghanistan, but they're feeling now they are sandwiched again between Afghanistan and India. So the point today is that India is very clear as to how we will now unfold our relationship with Afghanistan. We are unlikely to recognize Afghanistan until the United Nations recognize it. There is only one country which is officially recognized so far, that is Russia. But we are going to have workable relation, and that is possible. And you find it that India is ready to send them, more humanitarian aid, and also aid in terms of food grains and medical facility. Remember when the earthquake taken place in Kunar and Nangarhar, we were the first responder. We sent them the relief material, and this is to the liking of Afghanistan. I say that enemies, my friend. It's correct proverb, but more than that, India and Afghanistan had always historical relationship with them. We have the best of the relation. We are further reviving it, and we will find it. This relation will go from strength to strength.
Indeed.
The point which you said, Pia, about Bagram, airfield. No, India has already said that Bagram airfield must not be taken by the US. And as far as Donald Trump is concerned, he will make tall claims. It is not possible. The Taliban has already clarified they do not compromise with territorial integrity and sovereignty of their country. So I don't think it is likely to happen. Let's see how things unfold. But one thing is there, America has already got a basis in Pakistan. Remember that Pakistan, the recent found love with America is paying them because Pakistan is ready to do that cryptocurrency business with them, ready to give their rare earth minerals exploration in Balochistan. And there is a report which is coming. They are ready to give a Pasni. That is an island very close to Gwadar for making a port. So as far as Pakistan is concerned, for money, they can sell themselves. And that's what's happening. Because the point is they are in a critical situation. In Pakistan, there is a political instability, economic crisis, and terrorism increasing manifold. So they need the help of Americans, and for getting more dollars, they can ready to do anything. But as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I don't think the Taliban government will come under pressure to give Bagram back to the US.
Indeed, and as we've just seen, the Moscow format meeting has also taken place, where Russia and several other countries that were present, including India, have in fact backed Afghanistan's stance on this. Thank you so much, Major General Sewach, for taking our time, sharing your analysis with us on NewsX World. With that, viewers, we're shifting focus towards some crucial updates coming in from the United States of America. Investigators have now stated that they do not expect to find any survivors at the scene of a massive blast at the Tennessee Military Explosives Company. Officials have stated that 16 people are currently missing and are assumed to be deceased. Humphreys County Sheriff has stated that more than 300 people have been through the site of the blast and no survivors have been located, and that they're making the assumption that all missing persons are dead. The Assistant Special Agent in charge has stated that teams are still working to determine the cause of the explosion. The presence of explosives and other ordnance at the property has made searching the scene a lot more complicated. Let's in fact listen in to what the Assistant Agent in charge has had to say.
This investigation is still in this early stage. At this point, the cause of this explosion has not yet been determined, and we will not speculate. What we can say is that every effort is being made to conduct a thorough, methodical, and science-based investigation to find the answers that led to this tragedy and the answers that this community deserves. ATF's mission is to protect the public. That means not only finding out what happened here, but also ensuring that if criminal activity is involved, those responsible will be held accountable. And if it was accidental, that lessons have been learned to prevent a tragedy like this from ever happening again.
All right, viewers, due to paucity of time, it's a wrap on this bulletin. More news and updates on the other side. Stay tuned on NewsX World.